Below, right jaw. We go hard while we do this song. Yeah, we bring it everybody name flat long. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. I'm from the place where we know how to win, where we tear dynasties down and build them back again. In other words, we don't know how to lose. Here's a nice pack for those who think I'm about to prove. You choose to cruise through your career, but I choose to go hard to ensure I stay here. So don't be mad, cause I got a little more than you. Attribute that to the fact I work more than you. Running around town saying this and that. How we sound like the Roots, and our music is whack. Just because I don't backpack and talk about busting with Max and flipping birds, I'm still about my stacks. We grew up in the hood, but chose another path where it's grip for blood or you slang the bud. But we chose another point of view to perpetuate while some of y'all is real thugs, a lot of y'all perpetrate. We go hard while we do this song. Yeah, we pray that everybody ain't sing along. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. We go hard while we do this song. Yeah, we pray that everybody ain't sing along. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. Below, right jaw. We jump start like the beat of your heart. Microphones they be giving and we rip them apart. Leave a mark. They close in the case if need be. Who winning the race is Dub B. Not kicking curves, but I'm spitting the words. Living in this cold world got me flipping the bird. Just living life, say the game don't change. It's the same damn thing.
Yo, what up, everybody? Lakers game, Lakers talk worldwide, Lakers game for life. We in the building. There we go. We got Brandon Red. We got Brandon Red.
There we go.
Wait. Boom. There we go. All right. So we said it's the end of the season. About 4 or 5 months ago, we said, "Yo, we're gonna do an autopsy of this season," because we knew how wrong everything was going. But we know it's not just one thing. You know, some people want to blame Russ. Some people want to blame LeBron. Some people want to blame Rob Pelinka. Some people want to blame injury. So we're going to get into all the different reasons and all the different facets of what happened this season. Quincy, what was our record to end the season?
Where Brandon at? That fool not even in the screen.
He right there. Oh, he not in this. Oh, you not. Screen? There you go. Oh. There you go. Hold on. Got you.
There we go. There
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you not.
Now,
31 and 49. We're probably going to end up being. Well, how many games got left?
Two left. Yep.
Probably going to end up being 31 and 51.
So as much as people thought that this team didn't fit at the beginning, I never would have suspected we would have been a 50-loss team, right? So let's go from the top to the bottom, right? Let's go to the beginning of free agency, and let's go to, when the trade for Buddy Hield was supposedly almost complete, and we're going to be getting Buddy Hield, and then it got nixed because LeBron and AD talked to Russell Westbrook and said, "Yo, we think we can make this thing work with Russell Westbrook." Let's start from there and work our way down.
But you want to go, or Brandy, you want to go?
Because in the beginning, I believe the first show we did after Westbrook, you and Q talked me off a ledge a little bit. You and Q was like, "Nah, it can work." Like I was more hesitant, and then I was more than one of the ones that's like, "We are kind of old." And then Q was like, "We'll be like, think about all the championship teams we've had in the past. They had J.R. Ryder or Ron Harper. They were older teams that won championships. Young teams don't win championships." And y'all talked me off the ledge a little bit, so we have more optimism going into the season because we're like they're older teams, they're experienced, they know their roles. They like older players know how to play their role better than younger players. So we were like, we were thinking they addressed. We thought we addressed all the issues.
Yeah.
We thought we had a ball handler that can handle the rock when LeBron is not playing in Westbrook. We thought we had paint defenders, and at the time it was Dwight and who else was the other center that we had? DeAndre Jordan.
Yep.
So we're like, yeah, we got that. We got perimeter defense with THC and so we were optimistic. And then the preseason came and they were 0-6. We're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's just preseason. And then the season started and it just kind of went downhill from there. Like they never really got in a rhythm. So Q could probably talk more about the X's and O's part of it, why they didn't catch rhythm, but it just never all came together like we expected it to.
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit because, my belief coming the end of last season, I thought we needed a third star, and I still think we need a third star. Cause I think this year proved why I thought we needed a third star, because LeBron and AD, since LeBron been a Laker, he been injury prone. And we saw when LeBron and AD went down last year, we couldn't score fucking 85 points in certain games because, as much as we like the Carusos, KCPs, Kuzmas, etc., we wasn't able to score enough points with LeBron and AD going out. The only season they wasn't injured a lot was 2020 when LeBron missed 4 games and AD missed 9 games. And who's to say if we didn't have that break for COVID that those numbers would still remain the same as far as them missing games. So coming out of last season, my thought and belief was we did need a third star for this reason right here, because, and as you can see this year, AD only played 40 games and LeBron played 55 games. So the thinking was we probably need someone else to fill in that gap as they both try to get themselves together throughout the season. Then we can make a final push at the end of the season when hopefully everybody is healthy. So I thought maybe the Lakers, it like the Lakers felt that way. The players, AD, LeBron, and Rob and Jeannie and whoever, because the first thing we started to hear was they wanted a third star. I remember hearing the Buddy Hield trade. I didn't really like it. I don't think Buddy Hield is the savior that everybody think he is. He's 6'4". He don't defend. And when the shot is off, he really don't contribute no other way. And I think we had enough guys that was 6'4", 6'3", 6'2", who don't defend. And if they shot is off, then they don't contribute no other way. I think that was kind of our problem. Now, the rumor that was more appealing to me was when it was DeRozan coming with the potential of recruiting Kyle Lowry. I thought that was the deal, one, because I think they both could still play defense at this level. I wasn't even thinking about seeing DeRozan having a breakout season as far as points and 3-point shooting, because he never really been like that 3-point shooter like that. His game has always been kind of mid-range. But I thought if you could bring him in a Kyle Lowry, who do shoot threes as well, and they both still defend at a pretty high level, despite early to mid 30s, that they both will be good. And so then after that, we heard the rumors that that sounded like that was going to be a done deal, and then we heard the rumors of Westbrook. Because of Westbrook contract, we knew that we was going to have to give up a ton of players, and LeBron and AD are a lot closer with Westbrook. I felt like it could have worked because for the factors I said earlier, when LeBron and AD is out, stagnant because of injuries. I don't even think they played 5 games in a row with one another this season. I felt Westbrook could possibly fill in that gap, and we never really saw the Westbrook. I don't think we saw the Westbrook that we saw in Washington this year. And so I thought there were some possibilities of it working, because I knew LeBron days of playing 82 games is over. Well, we will not see LeBron play 82 games again. And then AD has played half a season, 2 consecutive years. So I felt somebody like Westbrook, who's used to carrying players carrying teams by itself, will probably be pretty good as far as at least making us competitive and filling in those gaps when either one of them is out or both of them is out. So I think that was the thinking, but I think that what we kind of missed a lot was the fact that we had a lot of, and it was a concern, but I was like, well, maybe, I'm thinking maybe Vogel could coach through it, that we had a lot of small wings. We had Avery Bradley 6'2", Westbrook 6'3", Malik Monk 6'3", THT 6'4", and when you're going against 6'7", 6'8" wings who could shoot, people are just shooting over them.
Well, let me ask you this: could you address what Gary Park said? What up, Gary? Address what he said about the logo wasn't short-sighted. Buddy Hield would allow us to retain Caruso and pick up a tier 2 free agent. And also, after you answer that, can you go into the specifics? Because I know everybody got hyped because Magic Johnson got on all the TV shows, basically playing NBA 2K with the roster. Can you go on and talk about what actually could have happened and how it would have happened and why a lot of the things that Magic said wasn't accurate about how free agency should have went?
Well, I put it to you like this. For what Magic said to happen, you need 2 Kuzmas. You need a Kuzma you was going to send to the Spurs, and you're going to need a Kuzma to send to Sacramento. Because, and then as far as Buddy Hield, I'm not rolling with he's a top 2. I mean, he's a tier 2 free agent. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not that high on Buddy Hield as others because in Sacramento he was shooting below 40%. I mean, he was a 37% 3-point shooter, but he was shooting like 37% from the field as well. So that means either he's shooting threes or he ain't really hitting shit else. And then he makes $22 million. So Kuzma made 12. You was going to have to throw another player that's making $10 million in there to get Buddy Hield. So it was going to be Kuzma and somebody else because there's a $10 million difference in their salary, and you have to match salary for salary. So it was going to be Kuzma plus probably a Caruso if you sign Caruso to a $10 million deal, and you send them to match salaries with Buddy Hield, or you send maybe Montrezl Harrell and Kuzma to Sacramento, and then depending on what DeRozan signed in a sign and trade deal, you was going to have to send. And I've been saying for years, Popovich was on Kuzma for years. That you was probably going to have to send Kuzma, and let's say DeRozan signed for $25 million. It was probably going to be Kuzma, Montrezl, and probably one other person for DeRozan. You could just blame the Lakers. The Lakers could have retained Caruso regardless. That was just Jeannie just not willing to pay the luxury tax. That's what that is boiled down to. And you got to look at a franchise who just signed a $500 million deal with Krypton or Crypto, whatever the fuck their name is, and make almost $100 million surplus just through merchandise and tickets. They wasn't willing to retain Caruso just because, which, that was just another young player that we developed that left, that left without us getting anything back. And we could talk about that list like Julius Randle, an 18-9 guy that left, we got nothing back. Just go down a list. Even a guy like Thomas Bryant, who is a regular rotation player, another guy we just let go and got nothing back. There's a lot of players we just let walk and got nothing back, no picks, no second-round picks, no nothing. And they just let Caruso go because they just didn't want to pay the luxury tax. So no trade or anything really affected Caruso. That was just Jeannie and them being cheap. And figure that Kendrick Nunn, which is probably going to come up, will fill in the gap for Caruso didn't do.
All right, Brandon, I know you said you wanted to address some of the things that Q said, so go ahead.
So going back to what Q said about they needed a third star, believe that absolutely, but you got to have that right third star with LeBron, right? Because we've seen in the past that third star is just like they have a specific role they have to apply to the game and take the brunt of the media blame. You got to see it with Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was an all-star 2010 guy in Toronto, got to Miami and was that third piece, so to speak, but he was getting the brunt of the blame. Changed his game, was the 3-point shooter. Same thing with Kevin Love. We've seen him, he had to change his game. He was the third role, and that those third guys were really important, but they had to change their role, accept their role, and adapt to playing with LeBron. Westbrook wasn't that guy. He wasn't never going to be a catch and shoot 3-point shooter, and we know that AD is not the catch and shoot. All LeBron's big threes, he's had a guy he's pushed out to the perimeter, and they try to do that with Westbrook, and it just wasn't going to work. It's never going to work with Westbrook. So ideally, Hield is not a star player, but he may have fit that third role player better with LeBron, in my opinion, because he is that catch and shoot guy. And I think Q said he was a 37% shooter from 3-point land and overall. But playing with LeBron and AD, you're gonna have more space. You're just gonna have more space to operate. Those numbers probably get better playing with a guy like LeBron, where you don't need the ball in your hand as Hill does in Sacramento to create his own shots. So I felt a catch and shoot guy. The Lakers have not put one around LeBron since he's been in LA, which is a lot of the reason why I think we've had that much success on the court, because we've turned guys who aren't traditional catch and shoot guys, KCP, Kuzma, even Caruso, like, okay, you guys are gonna go to the corner, catch and shoot. And that's not, you need a guy that really does that. And they've never done that with that. And then with the Spurs and DeRozan, what Magic Johnson said, Q made a great point. The Spurs would have to play ball with the Lakers. They would have had to do a sign and trade with Kuzma. Pop has said in the past, he's not interested in making deals with the Lakers. So for Magic Johnson to go on, ESPN and all these other sites and say, well, they could have got DeRozan and not really understand that it would have taken a sign and trade, meaning Pop and, their front office have to cooperate with us to get the deal done. They're not going to do that. They didn't do it with Kawhi. They weren't going to do it with DeRozan either. Send him to a team that they're competing against. So I feel like Magic Johnson, speaking upon that, it was just irresponsible, and the point to not make the point that yes, he wanted to come to LA, DeRozan did, but that doesn't mean the deal's going to get done. Every player that wants to go home doesn't always do that. So that's just the point that I don't believe, like a lot of people on ESPN brought up. Other GMs and stuff were tweeting about it, like, yeah, okay, in retrospect, it could have happened if DeRozan wanted it to happen, but in reality, it takes more to get a deal done. It takes more to get a deal done. Just understand, I want to go to this specific team.
Real quick, I want to address something, Quincy. I'll get to you right. I want to address a little caveat about the whole DeMar DeRozan thing. Let's talk about two things in hindsight. One, DeMar DeRozan was not playing like this last season. So everybody acting like they knew DeMar DeRozan was the move. He has not played this season since maybe his first year as a Raptor. He hasn't played this. Well, it's probably the best season he ever had statistically. But like he hasn't played like this in probably like 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to put that out there because a lot of people acting like they knew DeMar DeRozan was going to be like an MVP candidate this season, and he hasn't been.
Right.
He was playing like ass for like the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And then the second thing is DeMar DeRozan would not have had this kind of season playing next to LeBron. Like that's the other thing. Like if he comes play next to LeBron, like Quincy said, like Brandon said, every player who shoots around 20, 22 points per game, when they come play with LeBron, they drop to around 16, 17 points per game. Look at any third star on any LeBron championship team, no matter how good they were before they got, like you said, Kevin Love was averaging like 23, 24 when he was in Minnesota. Chris Bosh was averaging 23, 24 when he was in dropped to 18. Like they dropped around 18, and then even Kuzma dropped from 17 to 13 when he became the third star when AD came in that first year.
Right.
So I don't think DeMar DeRozan comes in and still is going to average 25 points per game next to LeBron. So I just want to talk about that. But go ahead and make the point you were going to make, Quincy.
No, I was going to say, well, for about 30 games, you're not going to play with LeBron. And to me, those are the games I thought Westbrook was shining. The about 30-some games he didn't play with LeBron. Because like I said, LeBron is not going to play. I said, hell, 82. I don't think you're going to get 70 games out of him again at this stage. So I was looking more at it from his fact because our drop-off was so bad when he didn't play that we needed somebody to fill in that gap. And I don't see Buddy Hield being able to someone to carry us in those 30 games, that 25 to 30 games that LeBron is not going to play. So that
carry the load when LeBron is out, and obviously we're not anticipating injuries and stuff. But like even if LeBron was healthy, he's going to miss games on rest and back to backs and things of that nature. But my thing with Hield is, or any other third star, I believe they are more adept to maybe being able to go with the ebbs and flows of playing with LeBron. I don't feel that from the history of Westbrook, he has shown he doesn't have the capability of going to ups and downs and playing with another superstar player. He didn't do it. He didn't do it well in Houston with Harden. When Harden was out or Harden was, having an off night, they kind of, it took them a minute to get on the same page. Even in Washington with Bill, it took him a minute to kind of get the rhythm. Second half, he picked it up. It takes him a minute because he is, like you said, Q, is used to being that guy. OKC, he was the guy, the last 3 years in OKC when KD left? So he was used to kind of being that guy every single night. So he has, I think, an acceptance issue of being able to kind of take a back, see certain games, and then knowing when to take over, like knowing like what his role is night to night. So and even in his interviews, he just doesn't. I don't feel like he's like aware of that. Like I have to take over now. LeBron's not playing, or I got to sit back now. LeBron's playing, because LeBron will make you play off ball whether you want to or not. And Westbrook is not used to that.
He's not an off-ball player.
He's not.
And that's the other thing when you talk about when it comes to fit. Like, you can't say, to me, I feel like Westbrook gets a bad record. Everybody say he played terrible this year, but I'm like, but every single thing that made him special, you took away from him in the offense. And I blame some of that on Vogel as well, because he had to be a little more creative to make sure that, Westbrook was in the offense the way he needed to be. But we're going to get to that later when we talk about coaching. I want you to address this by Gary Parks. We'll all answer it. What are your thoughts regarding trading all the young talent for AD? I personally would have waited. No, you do not wait. And I'll tell you why I wouldn't have waited. Because we saw that movie already, and we tried to play to wait till he's a free agent with Paul George, and he didn't get him. And Paul George was actually mad we didn't trade for him because all these dudes got egos. So he was like, when they had a chance to trade for me, they didn't. So now that I'm a free agent, I'm not coming. We didn't want that to happen again with AD. And also, to me, AD is a generational talent. If you got a chance to get a generational talent, you give up that young talent for AD. And even looking around the league, as much as I like Brandon Ingram, I like Clarkson, none of them guys still can do what AD can do. And I don't feel like any of those guys will have the impact AD will have, even if you would have kept them around. Yeah, that they were still here. Like, so I don't think we should have waited. I'm glad we traded for AD and got him.
Right. Yeah. Same answer. Response.
I mean,
you gonna get him.
I mean, we got a championship out of it, so I don't know. With the younger guys, Lonzo is out. He's been out. Josh Hart being cool, and Bi got one All-Star game, but for the most part, those guys haven't pretty much been proven that they could be the best players on winning teams. So I don't have no regrets as far as the champion. I mean, as trading the young guys that we traded for AD.
Yeah, that's me. I look, if you can get generational talent, I know people try to say, "Oh, AD is injury prone," but we'll talk about that too, because he got, that's the whole thing. To me, it's funny how the media narrative is crazy, right? Because even if you look at Russell Westbrook's numbers, his numbers are pretty much in line with his usual career numbers. It's not like he had a super large fall off, and he played more games than both of our stars. Yeah. He played more games than AD and more games than LeBron, but he's getting the blame for everything, and that's why I say I think he's kind of getting a bad rap. But go ahead, Quincy.
I was gonna say, well, my biggest criticism of Westbrook is basketball IQ. Dude does not have a high basketball IQ for a point guard, and his stats are somewhat like misleading at times because I could point to games that Rondo pretty much controlled the game, but if you look at the stats, you probably can't tell that Rondo was pretty much in control of the game. And to me, Westbrook is the opposite. You look at the stat sheet and you're like, damn, he had a triple double, blah blah blah. But you could really point to some decision making that was very crucial, that pretty much cost us the game as far as his decision making. And then I think what really amplified, what really turned the fans on him is you have a 10 turnover game. And it's like, well, hell, I'll throw some more. That's not the response that you should give. And when we used to any player, whether it's Kobe, Magic, LeBron, you go down the list. None of our star players had that type of response after having like 10 turnover games. Well, I throw 5 more. Like his responses, I think, is what really turned the fan base on him, because it came off as it came off like he wasn't willing to accept accountability for his play. It's like, okay, cool. And as far as LA is different. You could have a triple double in OKC in 10 turnovers, and they're not gonna give a fuck because you had a triple double. Same thing in Houston. Laker fans, pretty much your legacy as far as the Lakers is what you do in big games and clutch situations. I tell people this all the time. Robert Horry, career-wise, was not a good three-point shooter as a Laker. He shot 32% as a Laker from 3. But you wouldn't know that, right? Because he made the biggest threes in the biggest moments. So there's this perception that Robert Horry was just this killer three-point shooter when he was a Laker, when he wasn't. But since he made them when they mattered, don't nobody really give a fuck that he shot 32% because he made them when they mattered. Westbrook could have a game where he had 4 turnovers, but if 2 came down in the last 10 minutes, I mean the last 2 minutes, and that was the difference between us going down by 3. Now we down by 7 because they went back, shot at 3, whatever, and got a 4-point play. That's the thing that fans is going to talk about, and to me, that's the part he didn't handle well, because his responses in them press conferences was what turned the fan base to me against him.
Yeah. So let's get into this next bit. First of all, I want to commend, because I know it ain't been I want to commend Carmelo Anthony on the season that he gave us, because Carmelo actually did what I thought he was going to come here to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Carmelo came to come off the bench, give us some points. I think sometimes they put him in some terrible positions, making him play center against real centers. And so shout out to Carmelo. I hope he can come back to a championship roster team. If he comes back, I hope he comes back to a championship roster team to be able to play the role he was supposed to play.
Right.
Because this time they're like, oh, he looked terrible. They're like, he looked terrible because he's not supposed to be playing. First of all, we know Carmelo's not a defensive player, but he's not supposed to be playing defense on Jokic in no shape, form, or fashion. So that takes me to our next point. I feel like Frank Vogel been trying to get fired since All-Star break. I feel like some of the things we have seen Frank Vogel put out there, Stanley Johnson at center, Carmelo at power forward, and then he'll put Dwight Howard in for 3 minutes. Dwight started to play good. He snatched him out. You know, I think he's been trying to get fired. I think he's over it. They tried to force him with this roster. It wasn't a Frank Vogel team. He done had the defensive dogs he had that first year in the bubble. He had the defensive dogs that second year, but this year they went all the way damn near offense, and it wasn't a Frank Vogel team. And also on top of that, I think some of the assistants he lost exposed him a little bit. Let's talk about that. What's y'all thoughts on Frank Vogel?
It's funny you brought up after the All-Star break. That's actually in my notes, so I'm gonna kind of go forward with that too. I really feel like Frank Vogel was just like, F it. He had that fucking mentality, because what took place at the All-Star break was a lot of politicking by LeBron, and it was him talking about Cleveland and all that. And their story came out about them being upset about the trade that John Wall didn't take place and stuff, and kind of watching Winning Time and seeing how, like, I know it's theatrical and stuff, but seeing how angry Jerry West was about not having control over the roster and stuff, and I think he experienced a little bit of that Jerry West stuff behind the scenes, because he's like, damn, you giving me this roster, and what do you want me to do with it type shit. And after the All-Star break this year reminded me so much of the first year when LeBron came here, and there were the rumors with AD all the way up to the trade deadline, and then after the deadline passed, after the All-Star break, we saw the team just kind of like wilt, like the team wasn't there, because they have been rumors all year long. And I believe that, because we don't know how true it was about John Wall, but I think that AD and LeBron did want a move to be made prior to the trade deadline. And you just saw the teams wasn't together after the All-Star break. I don't think there's anything really that Frank Vogel could have did. They just weren't together. No matter what he put out there, they weren't together defensively or offensively. They're playing one-on-one, and I just feel like the team after the All-Star break and after the trade deadline, they all were over it. Coaching staff, players. I think their record was in March was like what 2-16 or something, and they won 2 games that LeBron dropped 50 in.
Yeah,
like they were. The team was over it. Like the team was over it. I don't know. You saw some other X's and O's stuff, but I saw a team that was demoralized and didn't want to play no more.
Well, I think people fell in love with the small lineup from previous teams, and this is what folks don't realize with the previous teams with AD at the 5. Well, one, the reason why AD got to play the 5, to be honest with you, I don't think nobody really want to mention it, is because LeBron can't play the 3 no more because he can't guard nobody at the 3. So you got to play him at the 4. LeBron get toasted at the 3 spot. People be scoring on his ass, and he just can't. But I think that in the past, when we went small, we were still big. So you had AD at 6'11", Kuzma 6'9", LeBron 6'9", KCP 6'6", 6'5", and Caruso 6'5". So we were still big when we went small. Even when you took AD out and you put Markieff in, you still got 6'9", 6'10", Kuzma 6'9". So we although this is our smaller lineup versus from going with AD and McGee or AD and Dwight, we were still a big team, even though that was our small lineup. This year, when we went small, we were small because you had Russell Westbrook 6'3", Malik Monk 6'3", Avery Bradley 6'2", LeBron 6'9", and then AD didn't play a lot, so you had Carmelo. Carmelo at the 5, which the 5 is pretty much your help defender spot, your cleanup spot. And when teams saw Carmelo up under the basket, they just went to the rack. So, and to me, I don't think we had the perimeter defenders to play small ball, because normally when you play small ball, you know that you're giving up something when guys get to the basket. So your perimeter defenders are so good that you know that they can hold it down without keeping people out the paint. The people we had historically haven't been good defenders. I mean, Westbrook haven't been a good defender in years, although he should with all that athleticism. Malik Monk, this is the first year he really was challenged to play defense. Avery Bradley ain't the person he used to be. We already know Wayne Ellington have never been a good defender. I mean, even if Kendrick Nunn was playing, Kendrick Nunn 6'1". So we was relying on Bazemore to guard big wings. That didn't pan out. And Trevor Ariza, who looked like he fucking aged 10 years in a month. So as far as our perimeter defense, we had no perimeter defense. And so when we went small, we got destroyed. In the past, you had Caruso, KCP, and Kuzma pretty much your perimeter defenders, and then you had LeBron and AD. That I think LeBron played better defense at the 4 spot than he does at the 3 spot at this stage in his career. And AD, although he had a down year, he was still a 108 defensive rating, so he was still a solid defensive player despite having a down year. So when we went small, that shit exposed us, because now pretty much you're relying on Carmelo to be our shot blocker, and then we had small defenders. And I don't know who the hell told Frank that we're gonna go small and we're gonna stick small. I thought we played our best ball when it was Dwight and AD starting off, and that should have been how things have went. But as far as Frank, they pretty much wanted him to make lemonade out of bullshit because he just didn't have the horses. Yeah. You could coach all you want, but there's a reason why when Phil Jackson took over, there's a reason why Phil was like, "Hey, Glenn Rice, if you don't get your shit together, you don't play 4 quarters, and we playing Rick Fox." And that's pretty much what happened. And Glenn Rice lasted 1 year under Phil because he couldn't play defense. And so I don't care how good of a coach you are, if players haven't played defense throughout their career, I can't really think of a player who didn't play defense throughout their career, and like once they hit their 30s, they start locking niggas up. like I mean, if you know somebody, name them, because I can't think of nobody like that. And so I don't think and to attest to our defense, we lost a ton of games, and I keep on harping on this, where we scored over 110 points and shot over 50% from the field. If I told you, hey, the Lakers scored 115 and they shot 53% from the field and they shot 35% from the three, you're like, oh, we blew that game out. No, we lost that game by 10 this year.
Yep.
We scored 115, the other team scored 125. We was losing those games by like 10. So to me, as much people want to harp, because even with the Westbrook whole deal, as much one of people want to harp about offense, and I mean, I think we scored enough points to win a lot of these games.
Absolutely, 100%, more than enough.
And that's not even including the games where we up by 15, we up by 19, we up by 20, and we lost the OKC twice. One week we up by 23, the next week we up by 19. We lost both of those games.
Yep.
So I don't know. To Dane's point, I do think I don't think Vogel was exposed, but I think it shows I think it really showed how good, as much as people like to shit on that 2020 team because it was a bubble championship. I don't give a fuck. It was a championship. And to me, I could argue that I think it was one of the hardest championships to win. I think the brain power of that team on the bench and on the court was the biggest difference. Because in 2020, I felt like we was the smartest team. This year, we got older, and I think our IQ was trash. And because normally when your team get older, your team is smarter. I think we got older, and our team was dumber, which was the complete opposite. And losing the Jason Kidd, who was a Coach of the Year candidate, losing the Lionel Hollins, who was a defensive-minded coach, all those things I think hurt us. But I also think that not having a roster built for a defensive coach philosophy also hurt us. That's why I can't give Pelinka a break. He definitely deserves some blame as well.
All right, cool. Well, let's get into it, man. I think, is there anything else y'all want to talk about from the season, from this past season, that y'all thought was some issues, or are y'all ready to play GM for next season?
I got my LeBron notes, so I'm ready to sports whenever.
Oh, no, let's go to that before we go to GM, because I know. Go ahead, B. Take it away.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, Quincy, you said the record for the Lakers this year will probably be what, 31 and 80 and 51?
And 51, yeah.
So, in the 4 years LeBron has been here, they have missed the playoffs the first year. We won the championship in 2020. I know people like to say the bubble and stuff. It was whatever. We won the championship that year. Lost in the first round after the play-in tournament last year, and then missed the playoffs this year. His tenure, when he came to the Lakers, we were thinking that it was going to turn a tide, not only to just win championships, which we did in 2020, but to be a contender and to be a top team, a top 4 team every year. And it hasn't been that way, right? So in 2020, in the first year he came here, his record when he played in the games was 27-28. I know he missed games because of his ankle and stuff, or whatever happened. We were 1 game over 500 when he played the first year he came here. He had the young team and everything like that. Okay, great. But when we get a guy like LeBron James to come over here after we've had all those years, you would expect to have a better than 1 game over 500 record with him on the court. If he's a top 10, top 5 player, they should be able to give you better than that when on the court. This year, when he played in his 56 games that he played in, our record with him is 25-31. We're below 500 this year, despite all the 30-point games and all the issues the stats he gained. We were below 500 team with him on the court. So my question to you, Dame, and Quincy, is LeBron to the point to where he's going to get his stats, but he's no longer going to change the game enough to win games? We've seen it before. We said we don't have a closer. He's not a closer. He's going to get his stats. That's obvious. But people blame AD for not being available because of injury, but I really feel like he's more important to the team than LeBron because when LeBron is there, we're not winning at a high rate. He's getting his stats, but we're not. The proof is in the numbers. From year one to this year, when we missed the playoffs, that we're not a much better team winning percentage-wise when he's on the court. So is it at the point now in his career where he's just going to get his points, 27 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds, and we're going to lose? Or can he take a different role where he's being productive, but we're winning games?
Well, I think for me, and this goes to the overall conversation for me about LeBron James, I think he's always been that player. But I think that's why in order for LeBron to win, he needs 2 bona fide stars. I think he's always needed someone to close. Of course, we know there were some games that he does close, but anybody who's not a LeBron fan who looks at the game subjectively, I don't think they really look at him as a closer. Like in the last 5 minutes, we're going to get a ball LeBron and we're going to get the buckets we need. Yes, he'll probably set up the right people. But when the time comes, when it comes down to it, and you're like, yo, I need somebody. Dwayne Wade did it in Miami at the end of the games. In Cleveland, Kyrie Irving did it. In the finals, especially in the West Conference Finals, it was AD. So I think that's why he needs not 1 star. He needs 2 bona fide stars to take up the mantle of the things that he lacks in the fourth quarter because he's more of a setup guy than a closer guy. So I think until you get that bona fide second star or third star, that bona fide third star with him, I think this is the play that we should expect because I think he needs 2 stars in order to thrive. That's just my opinion. Go ahead, Quincy.
Well, I said after 2020, that was the last time LeBron could be the best player on the championship team. For some reason, people just thought I pulled that out of my ass, but I didn't. The reason why I said that because I saw the decline. And there's a reason why all of a sudden LeBron wanted to play with pure point guards. He enjoyed playing with Zoe. He enjoyed playing with Rondo. Because before, LeBron wouldn't play with pure point guards. Now he want to play pure point guards. The reason for that is because he no longer can sustain that level of play, throughout an entire game. That's why he shoot. You can always tell when a good player is declining because they shoot more threes. LeBron then went from shooting 4 threes a game to 8. What that mean? Because I saw in 2020, he wasn't able to blow by people then.
Yeah.
Now he just Bo Jackson and niggas. As far as going to, he ain't blowing by nobody. So to me, I saw the decline 2 years ago. That's why I made that statement. That's why I thought if AD wasn't the best player on the team, we were going to lose because no team. Michael Jordan at 35 was the last player to be the best player on as far as being the best player on a championship team at age 35. There's a reason nobody at 36, 37 has been the best player on a championship team. Because as you can see, I sit here and a lot of times I'm on the phone with my cousin. I say, oh, LeBron's starting off hot. I say he ain't gonna have shit in the second half. And see, and those are the moments where I actually thought like Westbrook would have a Kobe mindset, as when Kobe felt like, okay, Shaq is not going, or Shaq is on the bench. This is my moment to take over, to actually pick his spots, because people like to dismiss his age, but shit, 36 is 36. Case in point, Chris Paul is probably going to end up playing about 66 games this year. But Chris Paul is the most important Sun, but he's not the best player on the Suns. He's the most player, but he's not the best player. Chris Paul is going to play about 66 games. Chris Paul is able to pick his spots because he knows he has another player that's carrying the load. So come fourth quarter, when he want to ring off 8, 10, 12 points in a quarter, he can. But he could coast for 3 quarters. LeBron is at a point where he can't sustain that level of high play throughout an entire game. When dude scored 40, he got to miss 2 games. That should tell people right there. He scored 50. He can't play the next game. So I saw the decline two years ago when I said he cannot be the best player if this team is a championship team because he cannot sustain that level of play anymore. LeBron used to be able to play pretty much at a high level for 42 minutes easily when he wanted to. His ass is out there dying. That's why when that three is going in the first and second quarter, it's short as hell in the fourth quarter. Them legs are gone. So that's why I say it's important for AD to be the best player on this team. If AD not the best player on this team, we're going to look like a team whose best player is 36, 37 years old. And that's pretty much what you got because AD is not available a lot. So
I would argue even that AD was the best player on the team when we were 52-19 in 2020 and won the championship in the bubble when we went to Orlando because go back and look at those stats. AD led the team in everything except assists, which LeBron led the team in.
Yeah.
With assists, he led the team in scoring, rebounding, block, steals, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage. He not 3-point percentage, but he shot a higher percentage from three than LeBron. And I know LeBron, people were still saying LeBron's the best player on the team. And Q, you had called it out and said, this is probably his last year. I don't think LeBron was the best player on the team on that championship team. He got MVP and stuff because it's LeBron. But to me, at that point, we saw how important AD was. But you're not gonna surpass the light of LeBron that quick. But to me, that is significant to show you why AD on the court is so important because when he's not, they missed the playoffs in 2019. They exited the first round when they were up 2-1 when AD was playing. Right. In that same series. He goes down, they lose 3 straight. And then this year, when AD was not playing, LeBron was 25 and 31. So how is it that people keep saying LeBron's the best player and they're giving all the grief to AD when clearly AD is the most important player on the Lakers right now because when he's not playing, they're either a non-playoff team or they exit the first round. So I know he's been hurt these last 2 years. I mean, and you and Quincy called it way before anybody else did. And I wasn't even on board with you guys with that short turnaround. You guys both said it. Like, there's not enough time. I'm like, well, no, they had 3 months off before the bubble. They should be straight. You're like, nah, the body's used to this rhythm and all that stuff. And we seen it. AD's body broke down. That's not enough, no fault to his. That was an awkward season.
Yeah.
Their players getting hurt all that year, soft tissue injuries and whatnot, that whole year. So to say he's injury prone because he had a short turnaround after a long, bubble run, that's unfair to him. And then
he was actually hurt in the bubble.
He really was hurt in the bubble too.
Well, the thing is with that team, we'll go to last year. I think we start off like some shit like 20-6 or 23-6 or something like that. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to figure out a way. Cause, like I said, LeBron is an aging star, and somebody was like, well, what about Kareem? I was like, you remember, as Kareem was declining, Magic and Worthy was climbing.
Yep.
So we caught Kareem at the end. That's why I have to go back and I have to go watch games in 1982 because I don't remember those games. I remember Kareem playing from like 86, 85 on. I would say I had to be like 7, 8 when I could actually remember Kareem play. But when he was Kareem, when he was getting 35 and 15 in the finals and shit, that wasn't the Kareem I remember playing.
Right.
But Worthy, you remember Worthy was MVP in the 88 finals. So you actually had other people who was ascending as Kareem was declining. LeBron been declining for a couple of years now. Like I said, one thing about I really don't like about this era, especially with social media, is people always run to stats when it comes to proving a point about a player. Because stats doesn't it tells a story, but it doesn't tell the entire story.
Right, it's not always the full context.
Like LeBron cheated his way to some 30-point games. Nigga, we down by 40.
Yep.
We down by 40 in the first quarter. The game is over. That 30 don't mean shit.
Yep.
All right, so what? We end up losing by 21. But the team, the score was 42-12 in the first quarter. LeBron scored 30. Everybody, LeBron scored 30. Well, the game was over. So stats, stats have their place, but sometimes stats doesn't always tell a story. And people like to prove as far as they point about, oh no, LeBron is still the guy. No, his ass is declining. He cannot dominate an entire game.
Right.
Getting down in the fourth quarter. Like you said, when the fourth quarter comes, he's already gassed.
He's super
in the fourth quarter this year. I think the one game that he closed out this year that I can remember was at Indiana when he did the Sam Cassell celebration. Other than that, I mean, we lost to Houston in overtime.
Think about it. Think about this, B. If his three is not falling, he really don't have a good game. We're not talking about Steph Curry.
Right.
We're talking about LeBron James. If his 3-point shot is not falling, he really doesn't have big games unless his three is falling. That's kind of where we at. And so that's why that's why I was pushing for a third star. Was I pushing for Russell Westbrook? No, but I saw places where it could have worked because I thought like when LeBron can no longer play, I thought Russ would have that mentality that okay, now it's my time, because that's pretty much what D Wade did or Kyrie back then. Like okay, LeBron don't really want the smoke with this fourth quarter in these clutch moments. I got it.
I just feel like Russell Westbrook skill set doesn't apply because like with Kyrie and Wade, like you said, bro, like they have that mentality, which I think Russ has. He doesn't have the skill set because you would see him try to take over and brick way the hell off the backboard or take a shot. He doesn't have that mid-range game or that jump shot. So Q, if you could have took Westbrook out and just plugged in any third superstar, who do you think would have been that perfect third superstar, third star player in place of Westbrook this season to kind of be that?
Let's put realistic because I think KD could fit in with anybody because he could catch and shoot and he could score off the dribble. So I'm gonna play realistic. I think with what we had available, I actually think DeRozan actually would have been with Kyle, because you remember they were talking about DeRozan and Kyle Lowry.
Yeah,
I think that route would have been better, but anybody who has the mentality, because LeBron would defer come fourth quarter. He would defer because he don't want that smoke. He would defer to KCP. He was deferring to like tell you the truth, he deferred to Rondo a lot in fourth quarter. You remember when Rondo was killing in the playoff? A lot of that was because LeBron was like, LeBron don't want that smoke. When a lot of times when it comes to those clutch situations, so I think the DeRozan Kyle Lowry move would have been just for this fact as well. They both still play defense pretty good.
Yeah,
not what they used to be, but at least they both still play defense pretty good.
Defense. I know we want to play GM in a minute, but just hypothetical in hindsight, Dame, who would you have taken Westbrook out and plugged in that third player? Anybody else that's watching, if you have a third player, comment so we can kind of.
In hindsight, for the third player, I would have did somebody like Jeremy Grant. Okay. Or
I'm saying anybody. Yeah. Even without cap space, all that. Anybody.
I can't think because if anybody's gonna be KD.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Like KD can fit any system.
KD or Clay. For me, if it would have been anybody, it would have been Bradley Beal. Not Clay, not Steph, not even KD. I think Bradley Beal would have been that perfect. We got the wrong guy from Washington. I think he would have been that perfect because he can close games.
Yeah.
He don't need the ball. He can catch and shoot. He don't need the ball all the time.
I'm not mad at that.
I would have picked Bradley Beal because Clay probably would be a close second because Clay's he fucking scored 50 points and dribbled 7 times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
either one of them two, if in a just anybody you can pull tight. I really think KD too soft as far as his mindset. Because we're gonna take when you play with LeBron, they're gonna deflect attention from him to that whoever else on the team.
Man,
you have the world in Golden State being that guy to take the blame. Like I don't think he would have melted mentally.
I mean, when you talk about it, I mean, that to me, that eliminates a lot of players who can actually play in LA because I don't think it's playing with LeBron. It's playing in LA. I mean, we saw LA chew Dwight ass up. Dwight, right. I mean, the LA fan base, Laker Nation has ate a lot of people alive that guys ran the fuck up out of here. And so I think that as much of a, we told because we LA, we not New York, we saw fans. There's a reason why Kobe said not everybody could play here. And you have to want to be a Laker and understand what you get into. There's a reason why Kobe made that statement. because he knows not everybody could play here. You have to have a certain level of mental toughness. We saw there was a crossroads with Pau Gasol with it.
Yeah.
And Pau decided to say, hey, you know what? Fuck it. I'm here with it. To me, if you really want to, as far as LeBron, to me, I think his biggest blame, I think more of the leadership.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
And that's what I saw this season. I saw this season.
I think you got to be able to hold dudes accountable. I don't give a fuck how close we are. Like, Kobe loved Powell. Kobe loved Derek Fisher, Ron Artest, and I hate comparing them together because it's just totally two different mindsets. But you can't. There's no way. I use Magic. Since Magic is very similar to LeBron as far as personality wise, smile, want to be liked, want to be loved. But even Magic, you would never hear on the Magic Johnson team, we just didn't play with a sense of urgency. We just didn't play hard enough. How many times did you hear that shit? We just didn't play hard enough. We just didn't play with a sense of urgency. It's one thing like, fuck it, man, we missing shots. We got to hit shots. But we not playing hard enough. We not playing with a sense of urgency. To me, that falls on the leaders of the team right there. There's no excuse. Look, sometimes you're just not going to make shots. I get that. So, and sometimes a team will have your defense figured out. But to me, and like what pissed me off with AD is that there's no way you can let Giannis score 40 on you, and then the next time you see that nigga, you let him give you 44, and you just shrug it off.
Yeah.
We're not used to that type of shit here.
Well,
if Bird gave Magic 40, we already know what it's going to be like next time, bro. If Tim Duncan gave Shaq 40, we already know what it's going to be like next time. If T-Mac gave Kobe 40, we already know what it's going to be like next time. This dude let Giannis give him 40 and was like very nonchalant about this shit. And I think that's when, if Kobe was his teammate and that shit would have happened, AD would have got his fucking feelings hurt.
Well, also, too, I think when you talk about leadership, I think the team takes on the personality of the team leader.
All the time, yep.
And I think that's when you talk about, we didn't play with enough urgency, we didn't play hard. I attribute a lot of that to the team leadership. Because that became the personality of the team, like shrugging off games, like you said, looking at the stat sheet, like, well, I guess we'll try to get them on the next one. Like that was LeBron in press conferences, and that became everybody in the press conferences. So I think that was a big thing. I know you got to get out of here soon, Quincy. So let's get into our Frankenstein game, and let's play. Put the team together for next season. First, do you get rid of Rob Pelinka? Let's start with the GM. Are you getting rid of the GM, or are you staying with the same GM?
I'm staying with Rob.
Staying with Rob.
I mean, unless you give me Sam Presti, which I don't think that's gonna happen.
All right, so I'm staying with Rob. Now let's go through down the roster. Our unrestricted free agents are Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Avery Bradley, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore, DJ Augustine. So who out of that bunch you want to bring back? Since I already know the list, I know y'all probably thinking about it.
I don't want that.
I want to bring back Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Stanley Johnson, Gabriel, and I want to see a healthy season with none.
Only one I want is none.
You don't want Malik Monk back?
No.
Carmelo?
No, only one I want is none. That's for me.
All right. What about you, Quincy? And everybody in the comments watching, let me know who y'all would bring back.
I would bring Malik Monk back. I would bring Stanley Johnson back. I think Stanley Johnson is one of those players that we can develop into a defensive stopper. I think what a lot of people forget when we got Trevor Ariza, Larry Brown pretty much said Ariza was done in the NBA. They threw their hands up. We trade Courtney Alexander for Ariza to Orlando. We got him, and Phil basically just said, "Look, don't worry about that. This is your job: defend and be able to shoot threes." And Ariza turned out into the player he is. Shannon Brown was a throw-in for Adam Morrison. You know, so those are the type of guys we have to find as far as building our bench and depth. Find young guys that you could turn into decent role players. I think to me, Malik Monk is crazy. Malik Monk is only 23. I didn't realize he was that young. So I take Malik Monk, um, Stanley Johnson. Well, they signed Gabriel today to a 2-year deal. And actually, tell you the truth, I bring back Dwight. Because I thought when Dwight actually played big minutes, he was either got a double-double or near a double-double, and our teams seemed a little bit more competitive.
All right, cool. Coach, who do you bring Vogel back, or do you go for a new coach? Me personally, I think you go for a new coach. I feel like he lost the voice of the team, and it's hard to get that back, and it's probably just time for him to move on. And then we'll talk about who we want to be the coach after. Do you bring Vogel back?
Okay, going back to the players real quick, are we doing it like realistic, like with cap and stuff and all that good stuff? Okay, yeah. So I feel like Monk, and the reason why I'm bringing back Monk and Johnson, I feel like they are going to get paid more somewhere else, and the money you would take to retain them won't be worth building our roster behind. So that's my reasoning behind that. And my reasoning behind Vogel, he has to go, and it's unfair because he just won a championship like 2 years ago, which is crazy. But yeah, he has to go just based off the criticism and the way the team performed, which I feel is not all his fault because the way the roster was constructed. But yeah, he has to go just based off that merit. But I would want to keep him just based off, him delivering a championship. But he can't stay.
Quincy.
Yeah, as much as I like Frank, I think he has to go because the Lakers never really support. To me, I don't think the Lakers really never backed him. I mean, you hired him, and then you put Jason Kidd right there, where we always like, we already know where this is leading. I mean, it seemed like the plan was never for Vogel to be this team's coach past 5 years,
right?
And, which I don't understand. If you was going to do that, why didn't you just hire Jason Kidd and make Vogel his top assistant? I mean, if
at that time, Jason Kidd had some bad publicity. That's all it really was. They couldn't hire him because he had bad publicity at the time. So they had to hire Frank Vogel and put domestic violence and something else. Yeah. So that's what happened with that.
But right. I think they just posted. I posted an article in a group that they said from day one Westbrook was already challenging him and didn't really respect him. And the fact that Vogel felt the need to ask permission to bench him kind of let you know that he never really felt backing, because I guarantee you Phil Jackson didn't ask Jerry West should he bench Glenn Rice.
Right. Okay, so now that we all feel like he should be out, who's your pick for coach, Brandon Red?
I got a list. I think I told you on the group. So I like Sam Cassell, Darvin Ham. I'm gonna go with one of them two right now.
Okay, Sam Cassell, Darvin Ham. What about you, Quincy?
I like Sam Cassell. And then my dark horse is Rondo. I think he's respected. Players have mentioned throughout the years that it was Rondo that made this adjustment for us in the playoff. I remember D Wade said when Chicago was about to beat Boston before Rondo got hurt, he's like, no, that was Rondo. AD talked about how that was Rondo when they upset Portland in New Orleans, and then Kuzma and all them talk about how Rondo was making the adjustments in the bubble, like it was like no, Rondo called that play, the out of bounds play, like Rondo told Frank Vogel to put him in because he knew, like, so I think because you got to have somebody, and I used to always say this about Kobe, you got to have somebody that's gonna cuss him out, and that he feels that either that's equal to his basketball IQ level or higher. Because if you feel like he's smarter and the person not willing to cuss him out, then it's not going to work. That's why Kobe didn't work with Rudy T. He didn't work with Mike Brown and Mike D'Antoni, all those coaches. Anybody that want to be his friend, that shit not going to work. You got to have somebody that's going to get in LeBron's face, AD face, and whoever was Westbrook, whether he's back or not, get up in their face. I think Rondo definitely got the basketball IQ, and I say put a strong assistant coach with veteran assistant coach around him, and I think he can do the job. But that's my dark horse. But I would like to see Sam Cassell.
I like the Rondo pick. I like the Sam Cassell pick. My pick, I found out she got a head coaching job with the Las Vegas Aces, but I wanted Becky Hammond just because to have the basketball knowledge, to be able to get somebody off of Greg Popovich's coaching tree. I thought that would have been amazing because me and Quincy watched her very closely when she was the coach for Summer League, and then we watched her very closely in those games that she coached when Popovich was out. Her X's and O's were pretty crazy. Her X's and O's were pretty amazing. She's smart. Remind me a lot of Brad Stevens, the kind of plays that that she runs. And I was like, yo, that's a really smart coach. And it'll be dope for the first female NBA owner to hire the first female NBA coach. But like I said, so she's probably going to do a couple years for the Aces, and I think after that she'll come back and get a job for the NBA. But I know people hate to hear it, but I really do think she's going to be a coach in the NBA. And I think she deserves it. She needs to be because she's a really dope coach. And I mean, me and Quincy have been talking about her for like, I think 3-4 years now.
Yeah,
we've been following her for like 3-4, like since we saw her at the Summer League. We've been following her, and I'm like, yo, Becky is actually really dope.
And she had command of the huddle. She don't sleep because she's a woman. Because
because that's the biggest thing. People like niggas, but that men ain't gonna listen to her. I'm like, I watched her in those huddles.
I want her to get the right NBA job. I don't, like I told you in the group. I didn't want her to be in LA because she wouldn't get a fair chance to me.
Yeah,
Bo wouldn't get a fair chance. Luke, I mean, a lot of guys, men coaches with backgrounds come here and don't get a fair shake. And coaching LeBron,
she wouldn't get a fair shake.
And being in LA, she wouldn't get a fair shake.
Yeah, I feel that.
The going back to what Q touched on about coaches that challenge Kobe. Kobe is fucking crazy. He loves that shit. I remember the story that when D Wade broke his nose in the All-Star game, he's like, I fucking love that. Like, he's crazy, right? LeBron is not that coach not that player that wants to be coached and challenged.
Yeah.
So even Robert, because the moment LeBron upshows him and it becomes a fucking meme or it becomes a viral sensation or whatever, LeBron goes to that passive aggressive. He likes to have a coach kind of like.
Well, I tell you what.
He's not the type of guy that wants a guy that's going to be in his face. He never asked.
I tell you what, I saw our assistant coach get in his ass a few times this year.
Yeah.
Phil Handy, I've seen it too. But he's the assistant.
No, Phil Handy? But damn, why can't I think of his name?
You said it wasn't Phil Handy?
It wasn't. I mean, I thought Phil Handy getting his ass.
Oh no, Phil Handy. Yeah, it was Phil Handy. Phil Handy cussed out cussing his ass out. And to tell you the truth, though, Phil Handy has another candidate. I think Phil done enough in the league. He might deserve a shot. And plus, one thing a lot of players say about Phil is not only he can tell you what to do, but he can show you because they talk about his skill set. But I give Phil Handy a shot as well. But you got
when Fizdale got a chance to coach the season, I was not impressed.
Okay.
No, Fizdale to me was too much of a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
The guy is just awesome. We lost by 30, player. I don't want to hear that shit. The guy is just I've just never seen nothing like this. The guy is just I'm like and it was at that point I said Fizdale can be our coach.
That's funny. You have a dark horse other than Becky Hammond that you just pull out? Your dark horse is Rondo. Is that?
Yeah, dark horse is Rondo, and Mark Jackson is the darkest horse.
My dark horse. I said Sam Cassell or Darvin Ham. My dark horse that I would really love, and I love the way he coaches. He hasn't got a fair shake either. Is Earl Watson.
Oh yeah,
he's an assistant in I believe in Atlanta.
I like Earl. Yeah,
but Earl's one of my favorite coaches. I feel like he just didn't get a fair shake in Phoenix.
Yeah,
I feel like he has that basketball acumen. I've been following him since Phoenix, the same way.
Yeah, he does a really high basketball IQ.
Yeah, so
really
he's
high.
my dark horse. If they can, I mean, I don't know.
He got creative offense too.
Yeah, he does. He really does. So that's those are my three: Sam Cassell, Darvin Ham, or dark horse, or Watson. I think he's blackballed. I think he did something. I think they were saying something. Remember that
they want him to tank, and he
he said it. Yeah, out in public. So I think now he's kind of
y'all wanted me to. They basically wanted him to not start Devin Booker when he Book is ready.
Yeah,
and then, so
once you kind of challenge the owner.
Yep.
I mean, but Genie's one who kind of will go against that.
Yeah.
But he's kind of been blackballed because of that. So yeah.
All right. So these are the people that I would add. I would bring back JaVale McGee. or Bismack Biyombo.
Ooh, Bismack.
And I would try to get Gary Clark from the Pelicans. Those are the only people I know for sure free agent wise that I want.
I mean, tell you the truth, I'll go ahead and make that trade with Charlotte. They said Michael Jordan won Westbrook.
Yeah, I would do that trade too.
Although I'm a little, I mean, because my plan is this. It's probably going to be something around with Gordon Hayward. What's his name?
Terry Rozier.
Or Oubre. But if you get like PJ Washington, Kevin Oubre?
Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, Kevin Oubre and Gordon Hayward, because Gordon Hayward is that 6'8".
Well, he'll be a good third option too.
I think he fit. And then here's my other. I think that because now it's going to be in the last year, John Wall is going to get bought out because it's easier to buy out a contract in the last year than it is with 2 years left.
Yeah,
I think John Wall is going to get bought out. You make the Charlotte trade, you add to your depth, and you go bring John Wall. I know a lot of people sleep on John Wall, but John Wall was still a 20-10 dude. And his last NBA game he played in, he had 27 and 13 against the Clippers. So I say make the Charlotte trade because that's going to add more to your depth. And I think Gordon Hayward is the ideal third option for AD, because I also like the fact that he's a playmaker and he defends, and so I would do that. Kelly Oubre is 6'7", 6'8". That's kind of and shoot threes. That's kind of, you need some length on the wings, and then wait for the Rockets to buy out John Wall, which. Now it'll be scary because now you got John Wall injury prone, Gordon Hayward injury prone, AD and LeBron injury prone. But John Wall been out for a year now. I think he's probably going to be good. And then I think Gordon Hayward, he missed games to a sprained ankle. He's been out since February for a sprained ankle. But I would try to use Westbrook to add depth. I think we lost a lot of depth, and I would. If Jordan wanted, which I think, because see, when Laker fans, when you talk about trade, you got to also have to look at it from the other team's perspective. I actually think Westbrook fits the Hornets up and down, fast-paced transition basketball anyway. Him, mellow ball, flying up down the court, that's kind of more of a better fit for him. So I can see why Michael Jordan will be interested in him. Also, he's in an expiring contract, and they have to try to figure out. He got to pay Melo and Miles Bridges, so he's trying to dump some salary as well. So
yeah, I definitely don't feel like we should run it back with Westbrook. I think he needs to be traded.
No, I think he's mentally fucked as far as LA. Like he really I don't like what he started saying about the fans. Like none of that shit is ever gonna ride here. And it's like I said, just go and trade him. I would make the Charlotte trade in a heartbeat. And then the only thing that scares me about Terry Rozier is that his contract is 4 years and Gordon Hayward's contract is 2 years. I'd rather take the 2-year contract over the 4-year contract.
So I remember like one of the post game segments of Sportsnet, Derek Fisher was saying like, this team has had a new roster every year, like the last 3 years, and they weren't able to have that mentality where they were like, remember last year when we got our ass beat by this team and we can come and let's go. So that turnover. So with that being said, do you guys think? I know Westbrook had a bad season or whatever, but do you think he can take that and utilize that for next year and be like,
not in LA,
and
that's why I say I want to bring back Stanley.
I mean, to me. As much as people, to me, that's one of the biggest issues with this team over the past 5 years. The roster turnover has been ridiculous. And you can't continue to turn over roster 10, 11 players and don't think that shit is going to catch up with you. Because if you look at teams like the Phoenix Suns, are the Milwaukee Bucks, where players have played around like they know each other. The Lakers were still trying to figure out each other the other day.
Right.
Yeah, that was a 33rd lineup.
And so folks like to make
had more starting lineups than wins.
Yeah, they did.
I'm gonna make this last point, and then I'm gonna have to go. But folks like to compare us to well, the Clippers did this, and the Clippers did this without PG and Kawhi, blah blah blah. Well, the Clippers also have a set of guys that didn't play with each other for a while, so they're able to sustain the same way we was able to sustain because we had the same kind of pretty much group of guys that played with each other last year. So you had guys that was familiar with the coach, familiar with the system. That's why the Lakers still had a top 3 defense despite no AD and LeBron, and they were still able to make it to the playing game. But when you just got 11 new players and then 2 of the 3 returning players damn near don't play half the games of the season, this is what you're going to get.
Yep. All right, well, hey, man, this was a great show. Thank everybody for joining us for Lakers Autopsy. Everybody in the comments, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all of that goodness that's watching us on YouTube. Worldwide Laker Gang. Of course, we'll probably be back for the summer free agency.
Yeah.
We'll be back for the free agent.
We'll come back for free agency, exit interviews, all that.
Yeah, exit interviews and free agency. And, we'll see where we go from here. Worldwide Laker Gang, Worldwide Laker Talk. We'll see y'all next time.
It's about what doing it big or going home. I'm focused on my plan, in my mind in the zone. I wanna be one of the greatest that ever made it, one of the best that did it, coming with it. Understand this is all I think about, all I ever wanna do, all I ever worked for. So ain't no giving up, and up to the limit, just to win it is a must. Now you